The Coliseum shattering dates have been announced. I'm super excited to talk about this.
Shattering, that I originally went to for the first set, Existence, back in March, was one of the best experiences of my life.
If you have a loved one that loves to play trading card games or collects trading cards, you can help boost their enjoyment of the hobby and make this Christmas extra special for them with these few items that are completely affordable, fit inside of stocking, and I promise you they're going to love it.
Hey there, guys. You're watching the Be a Hero Gaming Channel. We talk about games, and now you can be a hero in your real lives. And today, I'm going to bring to you reason number 9 why Wonders of the First is the greatest collectible card game ever.
Hey everybody, this is Slappy White with Radish Digital. That's Digital with a J. We're here with creators of the First, and I'm joined by American Texan from American Texan Plays. You can find him on YouTube.
Howdy, howdy. Glad to be here.
And then Sneaky Joe, KDB. You know him in the community. He's a subject matter expert on Wonders of the First. Sneaky Joe, welcome.
Hey, thank you. Hey, everybody. Happy to be here.
Hey, Merry Christmas, gentlemen. I hope you had a very good Christmas.
It was awesome. I am super blessed. It was very good. I hope you all were good too.
Keith?
Yeah, Merry Christmas. It was excellent. So appreciate it.
Yeah, and I do want to thank both Keith and Sneaky Joe and American Texan for joining me. Of course, they were the artists for 2 of the songs on the Wonders of the First Christmas albums. Great songs. Both you will love. I love the feedback American Texan had on his channel that you can see. I love just the artist going through his song, How I Could Have Done Better. I love the feedback. By the way, I do love that American Texan because like I'm of the age.
Most
like,
of the feedback was on me.
It wasn't. It was on me. It was like I was like,
no,
yes.
No.
I was like, that's
the only
not
thing was
how
the long intro. I was like, man, there should be another verse here.
It was a great song, and I could have done it even more justice. But like I loved hearing that. Like unfortunately for the collaboration, yes, that's one of the things we do. Like when it comes to volunteering. Is that, and I want to thank both Sneaky Joe and American Texan who just worked wonders with a short amount of time. The reality is we're not paid to do this. So we're not working on a timeline like, guys, we have a project due in 6 months. All right, we're going to meet every Monday. We're going to do status reports and stand up. Like, it's just the type of thing like, hey, give it to me from the heart, give it to me quick. And so anyway, I appreciate it. All right. Well, one of the things that I want to talk about, speaking about appreciating what's going on, is that Creators of the First tries to talk about everything going on in Wonders of the First. And credit to American Texan for checking in and saying, hey, we're going to talk, this is the week between Christmas and New Year's. A lot of folks are kind of taking a holiday. People aren't paying as much of attention. One of the things we try to do at Creators of the First and Radish in general is we try to keep the eye on the prize, the eye on the ball. So keep talking about what's important to the community. You know, we saw Zoom Panda talking about, is it just me or is, this community kind of dead lately? And it's like, well, like people, it's Christmas to New Year's. This is going to be the deadest period of time. But one of the things that I wanted to close out 2025 talking about that got some of the community talking, and it was kind of like that relative in the room at Christmas who maybe they're the different political persuasion than what the rest of the family is. And you don't really want to talk about it, but it's there. Talking about the prize pools going into 2026 for Wonders of the First.
Okay. I thought we were going to talk about ham versus turkey. You started talking about the relative in the room.
No, it's turkey, right? We all agree that, right? Turkey.
Well, strict question. It's always tamales for Christmas, but no, it's turkey Thanksgiving, ham for Christmas. Can we just go with that? Just be good American boys here.
Keith?
No, I don't think so. For Christmas, we had ribeyes. I mean, normally
I
kind of do it the traditional way, but my son Vortex, those of you who know him in the community, Vortex, he said, Dad, I want to make ribeyes for Christmas this year. So he and I and my daughter, 11-year-old daughter, were cooking ribeyes in the kitchen on Christmas, and that was fun, new experience because we didn't have ham or turkey this year. So
I like it.
Wow.
I like that.
Kind of fun. Yeah.
Yeah. Should you be the one wearing the cowboy hat, Sneaky Joe?
There's definitely a cowboy heart inside me, but I'm not a real cowboy, even though I live in Nevada, though.
That's great. By the way, a Merry Christmas to SubHub. Thank you for those Merry Christmas greetings. Thanks, Calvaron, for joining us and mentioning that it's a Kentucky Fried Chicken Christmas for him. And Grace, of course, you can ask a question. So what is it that we want to talk about after we talk about turkey versus ham? And we settled that it's turkey always, not steak either.
It's ribeyes.
Yes, it's ribeyes. So the elephant in the room is we want to talk about the prize pool at the SCG Con tournaments. For folks who got involved in Wonders of the First tournaments in 2025s, we saw the tournament prize at $10,000 for the sealed tournaments. And it's important to note that they're at SCG Con. They had both Wonders of the First and Bo Jackson Battle Arena happening. And they are sister projects, not the same ownership, but Jeff French is involved in both. And they both had a sealed $10,000 tournament going on. They both have been reduced to sealed $3,000. And they continue to have other tournaments that go on during the SCG Con weekends. But there's been talk, and let's talk openly about it. Some people have said, like, is the team losing faith in Wonders of the First? Is Wonders of the First going bankrupt? These are some of the rumors that I've heard from people. So I could say, like, I am not part of the ownership team. Of course, Radish Digital is independent. We have been covering Jeff French and his project since 2021. I would be shocked, but like, people are always shocked when things go bankrupt. The team just invested in Tom Felton. They invested in Ben Affleck. They invested in Call of the Stones. They've invested, I would imagine at this point, between printing and signing and advertising, millions of dollars. So to think that they are cutting back $7,000, if they were close to going bankrupt, there would be no prize pool. It wouldn't be $3,000 prize pool. But I've tried to make the analogy, like Sneaky Joe made a great post in the school Stone Seeker Society where he was talking about this and asked for some informed opinions. And I made the point there that if you look at the Bo Jackson Battle Arena community, nobody's freaking out that the team has lost faith or that, oh my gosh, are they going bankrupt? It's the hottest sports card collectible right now. In fact, people shared daily in Discord that Topps and other big companies are mimicking what they are doing. So they not only are succeeding, they have the big boys actually threatened. And so again, there are some people, and I think let's have the discussion about what's going on. Nobody in Bo Battle thinks there's any trouble with their project. There are people who are unhappy with it. And let's talk about what's going on. So Texan, let me start with you. Just general thoughts. Like, you're not immune. You've heard the same things I've heard as well. Some people are, the sky is falling. They're freaking out.
There's two general thoughts that I'll lead off with based off of what I heard you say. Number one, comparison to Bo Jackson Battle Arena or BoBA. They just had a huge set come out, so they've had some things to get excited about. They had Worlds with us in Vegas, and then they have the new Griffey set coming out. So things are pretty hot. Things are happening, and that's cool. So even though the prize pool goes down, they've still got like real fresh, brand new product to rip, as well as I think the Tecmo set or whatever. And that's coming up close. So they're excited for that. On the flip side, the Wonders, we had our first and latest set back in March, and we're supposed to have the second set by now, but of course it got delayed. That's a whole different subject we've already talked about at length. But we're in this kind of like what do you call that, sitting duck period where we're in this lull. We just had World. We're still a few months away from COTS. So there is this lull here. And of course, idle hands, what is it? Idle hands are the devil's playgrounds. Well, a bored mind is also the devil's playground. So it's kind of like we're sitting here. There's not much going on. There's not much collecting happening because Dragon Cup's done and everyone's kind of resting from that. World is done. There's this lull in December with absolutely nothing happening. So people, naturally, I think, want to go a little bit towards the, oh man, they're losing faith or whatever. At the same time, also, just from a lifestyle perspective or just living life perspective, keep in mind where we are right now, right? A lot of businesses are closed this week. A lot of businesses have extra hours or are working half days this week. And if you're blessed to be able to do that, I think that's awesome. We understand that at this time between Christmas and New Year's, there's not a lot of business to be done. A lot of small businesses want to take off and a lot of companies want to have a little bit of respite for their employees. So we have this expectation that, hey, not much is going to be happening during this week business-wise. On the flip side, if you take a look at like the the annual calendar, right? That's kind of where we are with Wonders. Again, we just had a busy season and now we're in this lull. But we understand that when it comes to life, hey, things are going to slow down for a bit this week. It's okay. That's just how we are. It'll all be back to normal next week when the new year starts. And same thing with Wonders. Once February hits here, hold on to your horses or hold on to your hats because things are going to be going pretty quick. I have a feeling. So yeah, we're just in this lull here. And I think people are just bored and just kind of, either they finish their collection or there's not much to play with, or they'd rather play in person. It's just the fact that we're just kind of sitting here idly. And that's why I'm very thankful for organizations like Stone Seeker Society to give us something to look forward to. People that are not competing in that, I mean, it's hard to think about how they would play the game if they don't have anyone to play with, and they're also busy with their own Christmas stuff. So those are the first two things that I think of. I think we're just in a natural lull, and we don't have it like BoBA because they had just fresher product.
Keith, just general thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, both of you have some good thoughts. Some of the things that you said there, Slappy, I hadn't quite heard before, and I think that's kind of more to my point is maybe you have a little bit of inside knowledge, or someone kind of shared some extra reasons of what we have to look forward to, and the amount of investment that's in this game. And that's great. And I think to my point is, yeah, we are in this kind of quiet period, as American Texan mentioned. And so that does kind of play on people, but then you're waiting for a sign, you're waiting to see what's happening, and then boom, here comes the new 2026 schedule for the SCG, and you look ahead and you see the prize pool has changed, right? So to that point is, yeah, there's changes, yeah, there's great things happening. Call the Stones. Wonders just came from an awesome 2025 year, exceeded all my expectations. So I want to say thank you to the team and all that for that. And now we have our eyes on 2026. And so with our eyes on 2026, we're looking at Call of the Stones is coming. We got the Shattering, but then we also see, oh, okay, so we also have Atlanta, we have Portland coming up, but the prize pool changed, right? And so yes, there's a lot of great things on the site, but why would the prize pool change? And so my point is, it would be nice to have some kind of communication from the team itself that kind of talked about why we went with a different strategy there. And so there's a lot of rumors rolling around. I'm, like I've told everyone before, I'm a player first. So we're looking at that prize pool. That's important to us. It's important to us because I want to go to each event if I can. But if the prize pool's changing, that might make it more difficult, right? Because there's less opportunity to kind of regain the opportunity to kind of win in some of those prize areas. And so a lot of players, yeah, there's a lot of messages going on, not in the Discord, kind of behind, everyone trying to understand. I know people are even reaching out to members of the Wonders team, trying to figure out why that changed. And I think my point of posting in the school community was more, it isn't to be negative on Wonders. I love Wonders. I don't want anyone to get me wrong. I love Wonders. I think what they're doing is amazing. It's more to try to, what's the feeling? What's going on? What do you think's behind the strategy or the reason why they might shift to another prize pool? And I think the Wonders team could nip that in the bud really quick if they communicate that to the community. Because it is a drastic change. I guess our expectations are high. Yes, they were so gracious. They did 125,000 Dragon Cup in Vegas. That was amazing, right? And so, yeah, maybe we're a bunch of greedy little children, but I hope that's not the case. But at the same time, it is a new game. We have missed a few of the deliverable dates originally, and so there is still this idea of the game is still fragile. The game is still new, and you see a lot of new players coming to the game. I interact with a lot of Magic players, and some of them have just joined in, just to try to make a quick buck, which in the sealed, which I've heard is kind of an issue for some of the people in the Wonders team. They don't want Wonders to be a farm. I've heard that as one of the reasons why the prize pool was lowered. Which is great. They want Wonders to be for people who want to stay and be here. However, that's also what we understand is how the game is to be grown. The game is going to be grown differently. We don't see it at the LGSs. We've tried to get our LGSs to play the game or to adopt the game, but they say there's not enough there. And so we see the Star City Games Con as the place to play the game, the place to compete with the game, and the hope that the LGSs will see it being played at that level and at those events that they'll pick up the game. And so when you see a prize pool drop, that to us maybe not as big of a concern to the people in the community that are close enough to hear some of the information like that Slappy shared, or with the new set on the launch. But people who are kind of outside, that are looking at this game wondering if it's going to be a CCG that survives or not, and then they see a drop in the prize pool. And so that's kind of where we're coming from as concerned players who love this game. We're all in, we want it to succeed. We're worried at what the perception outside of our circle, our bubble is. And some of what we're hearing has been kind of negative. They see the prize pool drop and they're like, that was 10,000 last year. Oh, this game's not going to make it, but we can tell them why. But it's still kind of a red flag, and it makes it harder for us to try to bring more people in, especially if this was the way, the SCG is the way that we want to get this game into the LGSs. So sorry, I said a lot there, but I'll stop now.
No, those were all great points. And I think one of the things we did not mention is Riftbound. Of course, people are talking about that. That's the Wonders competition because it's a new game, and look at what their prize pools, and that's what people want to compare it to. A couple things that I do want to mention on the outset is that I did reach out to Jeff Frenchie, for some comments, and I think it's been stated before, but just to reiterate, there will be more prize money in 20. There will be more. Let's be clear, because there's sealed prizes and there's product prizes and there's cash prizes. There will be more cash prize in 2026 than 2025. So one of the things we have to do is we have to say, when people talk about negative, is that the team is committed to more cash prize in 2026 than 2025. So I'm not saying to the gentleman on the stage, but to people in the community who are the sky's falling, is any organization that says we are growing the cash prizes year over year, that is a very bullish sign. That's a very positive sign. So one, that's on the table, is that you can expect more cash prizes total there. The other thing is that the team is going towards their focus is going to be on constructed over sealed, because they want to reward, as Sneaky Joe was talking about, he's a player. They want to reward the people who are playing and investing in the community. A couple things that the other thing to mention is just, I know for many folks, like, they're used to their TCGs being spoon fed by their LGSs. Obviously, Magic has a death grip on LGSs. That it's not just hard for Wonders; it's hard for everyone. I've talked about it. I went to, Star City Games has one retail location in Roanoke, Virginia. I went there. They do not carry Wonders product on their shelf, and it wasn't a knock against Wonders. They're not carrying anyone. Like, it's amazing what product they carry on their website, and they don't carry any of that product. And they're one stinking retail they're one retail location, so they are emblematic of the LGS issue, right? They're just so married with Magic now. That is a hard one to break into. Does that mean that the Wonders team isn't going to attempt to break through? Absolutely not. It's one of the things that Jeff French is known for, is that he's known for data analytics. That's kind of what he did before he got involved in all this, is that he's very good at data analytics. And one thing I don't think we appreciate enough about is that when he started, he could look at the data analytics of a Magic or whatever he can glean from the other games. Like, you'll hear him talk about Pokemon, Magic, and he'll talk about Thanksgiving to Christmas is actually a horrible time, because Pokemon and Magic is a gift you give yourself. It's not a gift you really give to someone else. So if you look at those sales, if you look at their markets, their secondary markets, they go down at this time of year because people aren't buying that for other people. You're buying that for yourself. So he's studying that data, but you have to look at Wonders of the First we just have 1 year under our belt. So Frenchie is very much a data-driven person. And what is he doing as 2025 closes? He's saying, let's look at the data in our product and what's it telling me? And I think the one thing that it's telling him is how much is, for people like American Texan and Sneaky Joe, are these SCG cons primarily benefiting you two and the community around, or is it benefiting farmers, people coming over from Magic the Gathering who have no intention of staying in the game and building the game? Because let's be clear, like, as I mentioned, with the signing of Tom Felton, with Ben Affleck, with all the others, and the millions in the next Call of the Stone sense, the marketing, the signings, it's like they're invested in this, so they want it to grow. And I think what's really hard for us is that we all think we see the pathway to growth, whether it's through your LGSs, whether it's through keeping the $10,000. And And that's not how the Wonders team is seeing it. So I agree with you, Sneaky Joe, about the communication. This is actually a knock on the Block Packs team, whether it's Bo Jackson Battle Arena or Wonders of the First or Block Packs. It is something that we've said for many years. If you ask anybody who's been involved since 2021, they will say communications is probably the Achilles heel. And to a certain extent I have to say, like, to the team, there are going to be some hurt feelings when they say that, because they communicate a lot. And so what's hard is we appreciate everything they do. Like, it's really hard, right? Like, your kid does so many things right, and you point out what doesn't go right, and they just feel like, I'm doing 98% right. Why are you pointing out the one thing I'm not doing right? So it's very hard to tell our kids, like, you got to do this other thing right. So kudos to them for always communicating, but it needs to be communicated more. And actually, I think let's acknowledge the community that's impacted by the purse going from 10,000 down to 3,000 is very small compared to the total community. American Texan, we heard back after One Creators of the First, how many sales they've had nationwide, how big the Wonders of the First community is. And the Discord is a small echo chamber of that. So the people impacted by the 10 to 3,000 is extremely small. But I will say this, I think it's an important bellwether. It's an important community. And I think one of the things the Wonders team underestimated is, whether it's American Texan, you were a solo player in Vegas. I know teams are interested in you and picking you up, whether you're going to start your own team, you're going to join a team. Sneaky Joe, you're talking about your team and expanding and maybe being at every city. I think the team didn't understand, whether it's Capricorn or American Texan or Sneaky Joe, all the movements you guys are doing, the economics, the recruitments, how much that impacts you when they go, okay, it's going from 10,000 to 3,000. Now, every conversation you've had with those members of the community is completely off the table or completely changed. So everything you've been working towards is, I don't want to say it's destroyed, but it has to be completely reworked.
That's a lot there. It kind of so there's a couple things. Number one, I'd be interested to see, and I'm not asking to, I don't even know if I want to, but what data do they say if the decision, big if, like you mentioned, if the decision was partly due because the people that are showing up are not continuing to play the game, I understand that. And there's a lot of data that they can see on the back end, I'm sure, with SGG attendance, where they placed, and then if they came in the Discord, email matching and all that good stuff. And maybe they don't see it, so it's not worth the investment. Because at the end of the day, it's an investment. They got to see some kind of return. I'll tell you this: a lot of the new players, even the Magic players that came and played our game, I mean, there were some of them that left Houston over the moon. Like, this game is so cool. I can't believe how cool this game is. And if that's great, that's great. But if they're not converting into long-term players, then yeah, it's a farm. So I understand that. The other thing too, that what you were saying on, talking about Sneaky and Cap and all the other people that wanted to do this, like, more than just locally, lowering the prize pool from 10,000 to 3,000 sounds kind of detrimental. I know there are some players that played in our games because the prize pool was so high, and they won't be there because they'll be at Riftbound competing for Riftbound money. And that is what it is, but that's because, like, that's how they pay their rent, and that's totally understandable. What it does kind of remind me, though, is similar to D3 football. Okay, now let me keep my Texas Cowboy hat on and talk about football for a second. In football, you have different divisions. You have Division 1, which is like your super big schools. You have Division 2, which is your big but not that big schools. And then you have Division 3, which are like the small town private schools. That's the school that I went to, met my wife, got married, and started our family after graduating. In D3, though, you actually don't get football scholarships. So all the kids that are playing football in Division 3 are doing it essentially for love of the game, because they're not getting football scholarships. If you want to have a conversation about how they do get scholarships, we can talk about that later, but they're playing for the love of the game. And so part of me wonders, everything aside of what we talked about, could it potentially be better for the game, potentially, if we get more players that come in for the smaller prize pool because they want to enter a community where it's more for these players are playing the game even for the smaller prize pool because they love the game that much. Filter out the farmers, filter out the semi-pro guys that are looking for a paycheck, and just get the people that are interested or curious or want to play a little bit, and then they get hooked and they want to come in because it's not as daunting. Like Sneaky said on one of the interviews he was on here last time, he's like, I wanted to get back into card games, but Magic is just so different. It's so daunting and so big, and Wonders was a place to get in on the ground floor. Could this be a potential avenue for that kind of player, which I think fits the Wonders culture a little bit more? We both know, or we all know, that Jeff French is very particular about, hey, if you're not going to come in and kind of see things our way and play the game and love the game how you want, but if you're going to come in here and think you can start swinging things around and start changing things and start throwing fits and everything, it's like, this isn't the game for you. We don't want you here. We want you to have fun, and if it's not here, don't bend over backwards trying to have fun or make us have fun in your way. And so I wonder if that's part of the thinking there, because if they do lower it, then again that gets rid of the farmers and it really keeps those quote unquote, my example, D3 kind of players where we're in it for the love of the game, we're having fun, and yeah, sure, there's a little bit of prize pool, but at the end of the day, it's about a convention with our card game and meeting new friends and playing games.
Yeah, those are great points, Texan. Some of the thoughts that came from that discussion on school. So if anyone's watching who might not be part of the school community, shout out to them and see if you can join. Reach out to Filizino or Benless, and you can be part of that discussion. There was a few ideas that came up though. If farming was kind of the biggest issue, yes, we don't want people who are coming over farming the game and then putting it down. Absolutely, we don't want that kind of culture. And so we do appreciate that we're trying to build a lasting culture, a culture that wants to be here, and a more positive culture. And we saw a lot of those signs at the Dragon Cup for those that were able to participate in it. But then you still have the players that are going to be here, right? The constructed players that are investing, that are putting in time. And so some people brought up, well, couldn't you have taken that 10,000 and split it then? If you're worried about people just farming, you just jump into sealed, pay $30 and they win a lot of money. Well, what if you moved some of that prize money over onto the constructed side? Because that might incentivize people to stick around. Oh, maybe I want to keep these cards I won in sealed. I won a little bit of money. Maybe I can actually be part of the constructed community. Now I got to go invest. I got to go find the cards I need. I got to do that kind of thing. And now I can compete on the constructed side. So I think for some of us, we saw the farming. Yes, we see that as a problem and a good concern, but was lowering the prize pool the right strategy? Again, I'm not behind the game. I didn't create the game. I appreciate all the Wonders team for everything that they've done. Just kind of throwing out some ideas. I don't know what all went behind the decision. So that's again where I would love to hear it come from Frenchie and team. I think one of the things that kept me going in this game and on this journey and sticking with Wonders was how well the team communicated at first, between the very first Kickstarter to the shattering to now. There was someone out there that, Frenchie would have those town halls and I would listen in and I trusted everything he said, and so far everything has worked out. So it'd be awesome to hear another kind of a town hall from Frenchie or something where every once in a while, community can kind of air out some of these concerns and hear it be addressed. And I think that would be awesome.
It's interesting, Sneaky Joe, and you have nothing but love for the community, so I don't mean to point it out, but it's interesting you said communication at first. So what you left unsaid was that it was greater in the beginning than it's been more recently. So you're too nice to say that, but I'm going to put that. And I do want to put a little bit of blame on Radish. I do want to credit to Tech Super. He asked Frenchie, he said, let's do an end of year 2025 interview. I want to talk about Wonders of the First. And so he sat down for an extended period of time to do an interview with us. And that is on me for editing. So I apologize for that. So I do want to say that's not everything you're looking for, Sneaky Joe. But I do want to say an important step that the team is trying to do is they've put in the hands of Radish And I have to take fault for that. Like, I have had family through the holidays for the last 2 weeks. So trust me, my last guest is leaving on New Year's Day, and I'm going to tell my family to leave me alone until I'm done interview. The problem is it's 4 hours of Bo Jackson Battle Arena, Wonders of the First, and block packs. So to go through 4 hours, it's a little bit longer. But anyway, I want to give the team a shout out for that, for sitting down, agreeing to do that. But it's a good point. I mean, American Texan, have you noticed that in your time here, that maybe it was we've seen a little bit less communication? And by the way, one thing we should keep in mind, I used to work for General Dynamics. I say this all the time. I said that as block packs from the beginning, from before Wonders of the First, is that I worked in a bureaucracy where I used to be a subcontract manager, and I worked on weapon systems like the Gatling gun. And when we had a quality issue, right, I had to report to my manager, who went up to our director, who went up to the director of quality, down to the manager of quality, down to my counterpart in quality. And that's how we solved the issues. I hated corporate America. I just like to get stuff done. And so one of the beauties of the Wonders team is that you can reach out. Ramel is here. He's watching this. He's wrong about some of his comments, and I'm going to prove him wrong in a second. But Ramel is here, and he's listening to that input, and he talks with you. He plays with you. And for somebody who's creating the game, to have that kind of input that's incredibly valuable. So there's something to be said for flat organizations. The problem with flat organizations is there's literally no extra wiggle room. You saw in Bo Jackson Battle Arena where everybody from the office staff was in the factory helping to get the last release that American Texan was talking about. They just had a release. The office staff was helping to get it out because you don't have any extra time. So the hard part with the communication, right, is that nobody thinks that Jacob Wicked he decided this week he was just going to put in like 25 hours and take it easy. Or Ramel was like, you know what, this weekend I'm going to be watching, because the last episodes of Stranger Things drop. I'm going to be catching up on that. Nobody says that. So like, we want to be clear. Like, if you're watching this is Creators of the First. We're talking about Wonders of the First, the best TCG. It's been around for a year. The second set's coming out. This is all coming from a place of, we want it to get better. We appreciate what it is. But let me ask you this, Texan, it's possible, Capricorn keeps saying 1 million people will be playing Wonders. I can't remember his time frame. Was it end of the year, end of 5 years, whatever it is. But is it possible? It doesn't matter what we're talking about here. So that, like, the way they're going to grow the game, like this year, it's going to grow 10x. And the way it's existed as we've known it for the last year is not going to exist. But to a certain extent is, you will have 1 million people to play with across the country. It just won't be in the way we've always known it and the way it started to grow in the first year.
Absolutely. I'm 100% with you. There's a whole phrase in business: what got you here is not going to get you there. And I tell people this too when they're worried about Call of the Stones. We're going to have play boosters on launch. What about collector boosters? What about all these other things? It's like, look, the way that the first launch was first launch. We knew that going in. This is going to be Kickstarter on the first wave, but then the second set's going to be going out to retail. And again, even backing out more, the strategy of going from the ground up instead of the top down. A lot of folks need to understand that there is a culture in the direct market with local game shops that is very cutthroat. There is not a lot of margin on these cards. And so they have to not only house the booster packs and the boxes, but they also have to house accessories. They have to have table space. That table space, if you go to your LGS and play for free, that is table space. Those are square inches they should be making money on, and they don't, because they let you play there for free. Every retail business is going to know how much money every square foot of their office needs to generate, and LGSs are just naturally less because they have so much play space. So they have to be very careful of the cards or the product that they sell, because they have to know that they can sell it. Not only that, margins for LGS is just talking to just a couple of people. I think it's ridiculous that my local comic shop is running like a 50% margin, which means if she buys a book for $250, she has to sell it for $5. And like, that's wild to me. Game shops are even less. So they have to be particularly picky about what they choose to stock. And that's That's a little bit of everyone's fault. That's them not knowing. That's us not being able to sell it. That's the direct market just being manipulative into the way that it's come into the world today with distributors. Like, I get that, but here's where I'm seeing, right. I'm a huge comic book guy. I still go to my comic shop every Wednesday on new release day and I read floppies. Okay. My daughter doesn't. Okay. She reads the #1 comic book in America right now, Dog Man. Okay. You think kids are going to the local comic shop to buy Dog Man? No, their parents get it from Amazon. They get it from their school, Scholastic Book Fair, or they buy it at Target, Barnes and Noble, and all those other places. That's where the #1 comic book is being sold. Same thing with manga. You think people are going to Japanese stores or the comic shops to get manga? No, they're getting it at Target. They're getting it at Amazon. They're finding it elsewhere in other places. And if you had told a comic book collector 20 years ago, hey, the top 10 comics are not going to be sold in comic stores, they'd be like, what? That's insane, right? I think we're seeing the same shift now in game stores. You no longer have to go to the game store to get the latest Pokemon or Magic set. They got it everywhere now. And you can even go online to Whatnot and buy cards and packs from there. So you can totally cut out that middleman. You can cut out the distributor model and you can go direct to consumer. That might be something that Wonders does. And there are other, at least on the board game side, I don't know any trading card games specifically that thrive off of that, but there are a lot of independent publishers that do that. And this is a small company. I view it like I view indie comics, Image, Dark Horse. If you know those companies, they're not Marvel or DC, but they still put out great comics. And some of them they ship directly to you. Some of them they go to game stores. Some of them they collect them and you can find them in Target. Anyways, all that to say, I think waiting for LGSs and just saying, oh man, my LGS won't carry it. My LGS won't carry it. What we can do is go play the game there. When we did our first draft this weekend, I can't tell you how many people came up to us and was interested in the game and wanted to learn about the game. One guy said, oh yeah, I think I'll go check it out when I'm in Dallas. And not only that, you make friends at the LGS. Mocha Mo was playing with us and one of his friends came and said, oh, what are you doing? And look about the game. And he said, yeah, I'm gonna check it out. That sounds pretty cool. And so like this all needs to be a cooperative effort almost to take responsibility of, look, they're going to make the awesome product. They're going to put it where they put it, but it's up to us to kind of grassroots grow it, because if an LGS has to choose between a Magic the Gathering they know they're going to sell a lot of, or a Wonders of the First that they don't know they're going to sell a lot of, well, they got to go with the safer option because that's just how business works.
Keith, I just want to get comments from you, and then I appreciate everybody in the audience with the comments. I put them up on the screen, but I just want to go and address the comments in a second. But Sneaky Joe, just any thoughts right now?
No, I was kind of listening to Tex, and he had a lot of good thoughts. So no, I don't have anything at the moment. Unless you got a question for me.
All right. Well, then I want to go. Yeah, not to put you on the spot. That was a lot to respond to.
Yep.
Is that let's see. First of all, going back to Calvaron, he said the worst thing, in my opinion, about the current prize pool announced is if, and some of these comments are at the beginning of our conversation, so I apologize. The worst thing, in my opinion, about the current prize pool announced is if other SCG con events go back to 10K, because that's unfair to the people who only can make it to these early stops on the circuit. So I hear what he's saying. He's worried about Atlanta and Portland being 3,000 and then the additional ones, and then people will feel, I think overall as a community, people would, I think it'd be received well if it went back to 10,000. Even if we hear like their data reasons for why they're changing it, why it's better for Wonders of the First, which that's what they have their reasons for. But just say they changed it. And it goes back. And by the way, I almost get a sense from the community. People are saying like, well, they're gonna hear our feedback and they're gonna change it from 3 to 10. I want to caution people. I don't think the team, I think there's a 1% chance that happens in 2026, that it goes from 3 to 10. And I heard over the last 2 weeks, people feeling like it's going to go back to 10 because the team made a mistake. I think the team didn't communicate well enough, but I think the decision's going to stand. Do you text in Sneaky Joe? Sneaky Joe, do you see it any differently?
I don't see it changing the prize pool. I'm set on it not changing at this point, but that being said, it doesn't mean it can't, and I'm hopeful that it can. I mean, right now we have a little bit of a platform, to say something, which I appreciate. And so again, not knowing all the concerns, not knowing all the strategy behind, the decision making, just kind of seeing some of the negativity that has come from it. I think it would be a great thing if the concern is you're worried about farmers. keep it 10K, put 7 of it back in the constructed, keep 3 on the sealed. You know, if that's even an option. But like I said, I don't think it's going to be an option. I believe that the Wonders team will probably have more for us after Call of the Stones. I mean, that's kind of a hope. I haven't heard that, but it seems like maybe that the initial money and prize support is more just to kind of keep existence kind of rolling out just before Call of the Stones. And maybe we'll see the support change at that point. I don't know. This is all speculation again, but I mean, I think the community would be thrilled if they did hear that there's still 10K to be had, even if they switched where it actually is at and which main event.
So, and
Yeah,
just to
I think
play,
what I hear
oh,
what I hear
sorry.
Kelveron saying is that it's these early stops being at 3K. If it goes back up to 10K, then people in Atlanta and Portland who can only go to Atlanta and Portland will feel left out or feel like they got an unfair shake.
Yep.
I think that's what he was saying.
No, we were, but then I asked Sneaky Joe just to kind of comment beyond, just
Okay.
like that it's not going to go back. But yeah, Texan, to go back to his original point. So my point was, let's not even talk about it. It's not going to happen. And did Sneaky Joe agree? But say it did go back up. So American Texan, like I think overall in the community, it would be a blip. Would you disagree? It'd just be a blip. The fact that
Yeah,
Atlanta
I
and
think
Portland only had 3.
So here's an interesting thing. When you say go back up, the first thing that comes to my mind is, okay, so more of the farmers, I don't like calling them farmers, right? But more of those people will show up actually.
Ranchers.
You know, more of them will show up. And again, if you want to discourage that kind of behavior, maybe that's also there. Another perspective of that, another angle of that is, well, again, they're not going to fly out. They're going to go out. If they do fly out, they're going to go to the bigger ticket games, which means that Wonders is going to be more of those local people, more people you can play with, not someone who just flew in, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, flew out, right? This is actually someone that you can get to know, that's your neighbor, not someone who flew in to compete. So I think that's kind of another angle of why it could be beneficial, but I don't think they're going to change it. To me, also seeing the product pricing go down in the constructed tells me either they're running out of product, which is a good thing, or you know, maybe they just want to have a little bit of a quieter presence, because if someone does come and play, we don't want to make people upset because now we've shown them this great game and they can't get cards, or they find more obstacles than they want to get cards. Because I mean, there are places to get cards, right? I did a whole video, 3 places. I think I even put 4 because I can't count places to get Wonders of the First. But you have to break that barrier. People have to burn the fewest calories to make a decision. And right now, it's still tough to get Wonders product. And that's with us all saying, hey, we got all these cards. It's like, well, it's tougher to get the cards that they want. So I don't know. So to me, I don't see them raising it, but I also, from what I understand, what I assume and how I would think, I think it's just because once COTS comes, then everything's going to go back to where it was, because we'll have product, we'll have excitement, we'll have a lot more buzz.
Hey, one side note for Christmas, my 16-year-old is that he received a sealed collector booster box, and I was excited because I just haven't had the time to rip through everything, and I was like, this is great. I'm going to see a box get ripped. I don't have to worry about filming it for content for Radish. I can just, you know, and cataloging. That's the other thing. I'm with American Texan. Like, I don't like ripping if I don't have the system in place to catalog it and organize it. So the only present on Christmas morning, he got up from the tree and he goes, I'll be right back. And I'm like, where are you going? He's like, I'm just going to put it on my desk. I'm like, why? And he's like, well, I don't want the seal to get punctured. And I'm like, why do you care if the seal gets punctured? I'm like, aren't you going to rip it? He goes, yeah, I will in a couple of days. He's like, but just in case. And I'm like, but that's not why I gave it to you. So yeah, at American Texan, sorry, when you're talking about Wonders of the First product, I do want to, the final note I will say is devil's advocate is that Sneaky Joe, when you're talking about some folks who were saying about the 10,000 versus 3,000, again, from a Wonder standpoint is they have over 20,000 people playing Wonders of the First. You don't see them in Discord. You don't see them at SCGCon. But if you look at the people who look at the 10,000 going to 3,000 out of 20,000, it is microscopically small. So whatever data they have might be telling them this doesn't make a difference to them because they're not going to the SCGCon. So we can make this difference. We can reach out to more of those people. However, they're attracting those 20,000 people. And this is one of the arguments I've made. If they take that $7,000 and they target towards whatever they've been doing to get the 20, well, and I don't know what it is now. That was a while ago. the 40,000 people playing Wonders of the First, maybe the client acquisition cost is greater if they're spending it that way instead of here. But that's just the devil's advocate. In terms of like, I agree with what you were saying, Sneaky Joe.
Sure, that could be too, but the opposite effect could also occur, right? When people see the dip in the prize pool, right? So
So I don't know if what do you think about Honest AF's point, which I thought was a good one, is like, what's funny is Honest AF, Dragon Cup winner, said, you know what, when somebody goes up in Atlanta and they see there's a $3,000 pool, he's like, they're going to be like, oh, cool, it's $3,000. He's like, they're not going to go and be like, what was this in Dallas?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this was 10,000. I'm not going to play this. He goes, they're going to be like, what is this $3,000 tournament? And, Honest is not someone like us who's been around forever. And he's like, that's how I'd approach it.
Sure, and I believe that would be true for new players that haven't heard of the game, right? But that won't be true for people who have heard of the game and maybe we're thinking about even getting into the game and then seeing that, right? So I know it's a balance. I know it's all a balancing act. I know I don't have the data. I'm no expert by no means. I'm just kind of speaking for some of the feeling and sentiment that's going around the community. Again, we love this game. We love the Wonders team. Yeah. We love what they're doing. So I don't want you guys to think I'm bashing on it all. So
I can't.
So really, my point is it would be nice to just hear a little bit more when there's some of these kind of big changes. And with that, I think another one that kind of goes to the same point was when we rolled out the Call the Stones presale too. To me, it's a little bit about managing the expectations. I know the Discord was on fire there for a while. I'm not to change the topic, but the point I'm trying to make is the communication. If there's a way to manage some of the expectations of what does it actually mean if you even get a whole case allocation, does that mean you'll get a Dragon Box or not? Like there was some expectations that people had that, hey, if I get my case or I get close to case, I can buy a Dragon Box, right? So there's kind of an expectation people have, 10,000 tournament, it's not anymore, right? And so the only point I'm trying to make is that if there can be a better way to kind of manage those expectations, and then you have less of a letdown for a lot of the people that are on fire for this game, right? Or fanatics for this game. And maybe it's not as many as you say, like only 3,000 in the Discord versus the 25,000 people. But I think it would help a lot in the community, and I think it would help keep the positive vibes going if those expectations were managed a little bit better through communication. That's all.
I want to point out Sneaky Joe's family that arrived literally as we went live, and Creators of the First live every Tuesday at 10 p.m. Eastern. I have family who's here with me, and so I love being on here with American Texan and Sneaky Joe. I love spending time here. And the reason why I asked the question is a little bit like MTV, is like I love people my age who are like, why doesn't MTV play music videos? And it's like, because they don't care about you. You're not 18 to 30, and 18 to 30-year-olds stopped caring about music videos a long time ago. And so that's why I just asked the question, is like, we're myopic. Like, this is us, this is now. And so that's why I asked the question. But but obviously, as people, like, I appreciate American Texan. What you said is what got you this far is how did you state it exactly?
What got you here won't get you there.
So clearly, like, you two are the heart of the community. So it's very hard for me to boil it down to business aspect. And that's why I just asked the question. I do want to appreciate you two for being here, and for the people in the community who are asking these questions, because I was talking to Sneaky Joe before we went live, is like, I'm old. I'm an older member of the community, and I'm very much a believer of more free speech. Like when there's criticism, is like, you don't shut criticism down. You have more discussion, because if your points are valid, you should be able to talk about why you don't agree with the person who has criticism. That's why we talk about this. So I just want to make it clear. The three of us love Wonders of the First. And so I don't want to ever mistake this. I also want to welcome people who have constructive criticism about Wonders of the First. It's not personal attacks. Bring it on, because we should be able to talk about it. And so that's why I appreciate them being here. By the way, Michael said this is a tough comparison with Riftbound. That game had a cult following long before creating the game. And actually, that I'm not familiar with. I see Texan and Sneaky Joe shaking their heads. I don't know if either one of you wants to mention it for those of us who aren't familiar. Like, Riftbound's on the scene and it's everywhere, but I'm not familiar. It had a cult following before it kind of made the SCG con rounds.
Yeah, it was a video game, so it's an internationally like huge video game. So the fact that they made a trading card game with the IP, a lot of people just naturally came over.
Yeah,
So we're
actually,
talking.
a lot of my good buddies, my age, they all played a game called League of Legends. I think that's kind of where
Yeah.
it's boosted off. I never got into that game, but they played it hardcore. So a lot of my friends, and so the fact that it grew into a card game, it has that cult following already.
Are we talking over 1 million people play this video game?
Probably, yeah.
Okay.
Probably like
I don't know the
200
numbers for
million.
sure, but a lot.
Okay.
It's big.
Yeah, no.
It's big in China, which means.
And I
you know,
understand they launched
Right.
it in China first, so it already had a
Yeah.
huge launch in China before they brought it over here as a
All
card
right.
game.
Well, thank you for educating me on that. I'm not in the video game crowd. All right. Garrett had this comment. He said the old retail shop used to be so much cooler. I hate the new retail shop. I obviously like, let's parse. We just talked about constructive criticism. So I kind of look at like when I go into LGSs, I'll be honest, I didn't used to go into LGSs. I do now. When I go into LGSs, I think about disruption, whether it's taxis, now replaced by Uber, or your hotels replaced by Airbnb. And there's a couple things like I collect coins. And I just look at coin collecting. I'm like, it's just like, where's the disruption there? And like disruption for the sake of disruption is not the point. The point is to change the experience, to make it more efficient, more enjoyable, more exciting, like whatever it is in our daily lives. And I just look at the LGSs and I'll be honest, like when I look at that, I just think it's not growing. Like Magic can grow, but the reality, right, is you want to be able to grow Magic and Riftbound and Wonders of the First by a healthy LGS system that you can throw anything into your LGS, but that's not what's happening. Magic is the backbone of the LGS, and it's not the LGS that's supporting Magic. So, I mean, that's kind of how I'm not sure exactly what Garrett was thinking, but did you guys have any other thoughts when he said the old retail shop used to be so much cooler? I hate the new retail shop, and I assume he's talking about LGS and not Target, of course, which as Texan was talking
I think
about.
that was referencing. You had mentioned you went to the SCG retail shop.
Yeah.
I think that's what it was meant, because that came in when you were talked about when you stopped by that.
Oh,
shop.
okay. They did move. That's right. Although the new one, the square footage, I will share the video again. It's like 6 aisles that are 10 feet long each. It's actually smaller than probably any other retail space that I have. All right. So Romel said Riftbound pays out less for their events than Wonders does. That is fact. Washington Post fact check. Wrong. No, I'm kidding about that. But let's take a look at this. Is that I went ahead and pulled up SEG Con Atlanta. And so for Riftbound, we have a 5,000 constructed at 10 o'clock on Friday, January 9th. We have a 5,000 on Friday, and we have a $10,000 on Saturday. And then if we click over to Wonders of the First, is that we have the 3,000 on Sunday. So guys, correct me if I'm wrong, but Ramel is saying that Riftbound pays out less for their events than Wonders does. And by the way, we should say in terms of cash, that's not true. Now, in terms of all the events, I guess we should say it's like, what's Wonders going to be paying out in terms of the other thing. In terms of all the events, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 events for Wonders of the First. And for Riftbound, we just have the 3, so the 15,000 as well. So cash, it's definitely not paying out more at Wonders of the First. So, and I think even if you added up the prize, including the tickets, I think Riftbound at Atlanta is paying out more. Would you guys agree?
I don't know.
For now, yes. For next year, yes. But if he's talking about this year included, then no. And then maybe he knows what's on the horizon for Wonders as well. And so maybe we'll all be happily surprised after this after this stream. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. He said he also said compare the 5K to the 5K and check the payout. I don't know what that means. But maybe the top placements get less money. I don't know. I'm not huge on speculating. That's what makes me such a boring YouTuber.
Is he talking about product too, though?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe product as well. I'll tell you this: Riftbound was definitely cheaper. Seeing people coming. I don't know what packs are, but people were buying single packs, and I want to say it was like $6 a pack. Maybe it was less, but people were buying Riftbound boxes at the game shop that I was at.
Well, and it's right there. We saw 1,500 for first place, and again, not sure what, and then 3,000 top 8 for that. So again, I'm not sure, Ramel. That's why we got to get you on stage more often, so you can actually clear that up. Let's see, going on though with the next. Let's see, get back up there. Let's see. He did say, Ramel said, and let me stop sharing there. Ripbound, he said, I'll bet a stone foil we outpace them on growth over the next 18 months. And right, that's the key thing is like they have a big following Riftbound coming in, and that's impressive. But if they're not growing and Wonders is growing, that will be the key thing. So Ramel, I won't bet that because I believe in Wonders and I want it to be true. But Michael has a comment. Growth is significantly stunted until you can get product on the shelves. I don't think we need to talk about that again. American Texan, you were talking about that. And I will notice, like, as somebody who goes in looking for Bow Battle, as you know, I have enough Bow Battle and Wonders the First. I will say when I went in to get the Bow Battle on the shelves, I was picking up more Wonders. It's hard when you're there and you're like, well, it's there. I probably should buy it. But the Wonders is drying up on the shelves. So that is drying up just a bit. And then Michael said the avenue to convert the Magic players to long-term players is incredibly difficult when we only have secondary market product available. I'm really hoping we see this change with Call of the Stones. So I think American Texan, I mean, when you launch a TCG, it's like, and again, everything in this discussion we've been having today, it's easy for us to spend their money, right? The Wonders team, they should be spending this money. And I know everybody says, like, you've invested this much in Tom Felton, you should spend the other $14,000 to bring it back up to 10,000. Again, it's just 14,000, which to my knowledge, no member of the community has offered just their $14,000. Again, $14,000 is real money. But when you look at the next set that's coming out, if they're going to invest in Tom Felton and Ben Affleck, and what they're doing is, the print run is they have a successful model now. They know it's been received. They know they've heard it a million times. There's not enough product. So I would expect that not to be an issue going forward, right? American Texan?
Yeah, I mean, they already said they're saving half of their supply. They could have very easily just sold all of their supply in the pre-sale, but they had to hold back. I mean, they held so much back. I don't think anyone got what they wanted, right? That's how much we wanted it. So the fact that they held back for local shops, they held back for, I don't know what you call it at distribution level, but, you know, order a case and get a Dragon box or whatever that is. They've already said that play boosters are going to come out with collector boosters at the same time on launch, on Target shelves across the nation. I mean, again, the way that it was is not the way it always will be. What got you here is not going to get you there. So, you know, they launched on Kickstarter for their own specific strategic reasons, but that was the launch. Every launch is going to be different, and so I'm very excited. I have, you know, I like to try to be positive, but I have absolutely no question that when this thing launches, we'll be able to get product. You may not be able to go to your local game shop. That's their decision. That's not Wonder's decision to not stock it at your local game store. They can get it through one of the distributors. They can get it through the distributors right now. But like I said, the margin probably isn't good enough for what they think the risk is going to be. But I think you will be able to find it again on Target shelves, like they've said before. You'll be able to probably order it DTC online, like you could for a little while. You could order product on the Wonders website when they had it. Star City Games website. I think you'll be able to find it in all these places. I have so little doubt. I'm like, why are we even asking this question? This is just my thoughts. I think we'll have no issues come February, March of getting Wonders of the First.
So let me add to that a little bit. The last hype video I saw for Wonders, they talked about 25,000 players in the community, throughout at least the U.S. That are currently in the game. And in that hype video, they said in 2026, they wanted to grow that 10 times. So that was their goal. And hey, I'm all in and I want to help them with that goal. And the keys to that is one, Call of the Stones, and hopefully another set launch, which means if they're going to grow at that rate, then I think Romel's vindicated. I think no one should take him up on that Stonefoil offer.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, should be an amazing ride. So I'd be curious to see how they do that. And
Immortal saying even at distributor level, it's hard to get. Had to it was difficult for the LGS to try through distributors and couldn't get any ordered. Hopefully that's better with Call of the Stones. And definitely make sure that that person reaches out. Is if you have an Immortal, if you have that person's name, is they should be able to reach out to the team. So definitely get their contact information. I'll personally take it to work with the team to work with that local store. So Slappy White if you're in the Discord, or you can actually leave a comment on where I can reach you here, and I'll follow through with you so we can work on your LGS to make sure they can get it. By the way, a comment Immortal also made, I think Text and Point kind of works for local cons, but at the same time makes it hard for those that need to travel for those events. That was while you were making a point. Also, I just want to shout out to Broden, who said hello. He was in here. He also is pointing out Sneaky Joe. He is loving your sweatshirt. Let's see. And then a shout out to SM Burns, who joined us. And then Sneaky, you want to just give us, we're going to try to wrap up the comments. It's been an hour. Like the thing about American Texan Sneaky Joe is like how fast an hour goes by. Thank you so much, everybody in the audience. We're not done yet. We're going to wrap it up, but I appreciate you guys being here for this discussion. So Sneaky, Ramel says you guys should ask Sneaky if he thinks people are going to be shocked by the COTS experience. And what does he mean? Why are we going to be shocked? He said you could reveal stuff. He said you're fine to reveal stuff. NBA suspended.
So to be fair, I am one of the testers. I am on the test team. So I have seen the Call of Stones, got to test it, got to see it, where it started and where it ended up. Seen the amazing artwork, seen the amazing Stone Seekers and what they have to offer. You will not be disappointed. If you love this game, if you love the artwork, if you love playing the game, you're going to love it even more. There's so much there with Call of Stones that's going to shake up the meta. We might be playing a few of the same cards from Existence, but we're going to be playing a whole lot more with Call of the Stones. And so it's exciting. Exciting time. I'm gonna put that shout out and say, 2026 is a year to look forward to, even though some of us might be a little confused on the prize pool change. I think what the team has in store, at least for Call of the Stones and beyond, I think is a year to get excited about, and it's going to be a great year for Wonders. And I'm a believer. I'm a believer in that 10 times growth. So 250,000 by the end of the year, and I'm committed to help do what I can to make that happen as well. And I know so many members, especially those tuning in, those who are in the community on the Discord. The reason why they're so passionate there is because they're so invested in this game, and I know they want to see it succeed. So.
Hey, Sneaky Joe, you could be a spokesperson. I swear you had that written on a teleprompter the way you read that.
It's coming from the heart. That's all passion, right from the heart.
That's what would make you a good spokesperson. Maybe you should be the spokesperson for Wonders. Kelveron has the question, Call, Rage, and Awaken. How many other keywords are we getting? So what's the answer to that, Sneaky Joe?
I don't have the exact number, but there's more than what you've seen. I'll give you that.
Okay.
You see some of the old, but there's definitely more. Yeah.
All right, and then coming up is, let's see, Kelveron also said LGS try to make their play space money back with private parties and snacks. And this goes back to American Texan talking about how LGS is their business model works. Let's see, Myrtle saying, I've done similar, got a number of people interested in the game from LGS, but can't get product in their hand to keep them in. Again, that's a recurring comment that people say. They need to have product for the new people to easily go out and get. Ramel said, if MTG is Marvel and Pokemon is DC, I am happy being Dark Horse. Subhub chiming in saying he does not think it's going to go back to $10,000. Let's see. And Kelveron talking about American Texan, you were talking about making a couple comments. He called them rent sinkers. And then Ramel selling
not stone seekers. They're rent seekers.
Rent seekers. Ramel saying Heliosynth knows fanatics have to have faith. And Kelveron also saying League of Legends is over a decade old. Again, the conversation of Sneaky Joe pointing that out when we were talking about Riftbound. And I'm not sure the more and way more common if it's older than that or more than 1 million. That's what they were responding to. I said, how many people? Quick Google search by Immortal Echo says League has 4.1 million daily players. Let's see. And then Romel saying League of Legends is the #1 MOBA game and has been for years. It has 120 million monthly player and it also has a hit Netflix anime, and it had a popular mobile game called Legends of Runeterra. Another comment is Zoom Panda came in and she said, I just really wish the team would work on more positive PR with interviews, articles, blogs, etc. The Discord is almost cult-like with its hidden but super awesome community. And which is, again, Zoom Panda, you're very active. There's always room, American Texan, for another content creator, correct?
Yep.
All right. And then let's see. Zoom Pandy says, I think for us non-sales people types, it would be easier to win LGS support if they could more easily find information that sells them on the product and game.
Nah.
So,
hard disagree. Information doesn't sell. No one ever made a decision because they had more information. They made a decision because they had more inspiration. And you know what's inspiring? Seeing people come in every week saying, hey, do you have Wonders of the First yet? Seeing people come every day of the week saying, with these play mats, they roll them out, they play these games, they have so much more fun. And the games last for 45 minutes to an hour like the box says. There's no weird mana flooding. There's no weird mana screwing. There's no like, oh, I can't believe you did this. And what about this card and this card? And I just can't, there's no joke that, oh, I play Magic because it's more expensive than drugs or whatever the thing is. I should have done drugs because it's cheaper than Magic. That joke. There's none of that. It's people coming in, having fun, wanting to share this game with others. That is going to be what inspires LGS owners to say, maybe I should check this game out. Information is not the sales thing. You can ask the solar panel guy who comes to your door knocking and saying, hey, you want some solar panels? You're not going to make that decision based on a pamphlet that he gives you. It has to come from the ground up. It has to come from us. And I'm not saying everyone needs to take on that responsibility. We're not here to be JWs and go out and spread the good news of Wonders and the gospel of Frenchie. That's not what we're here for. But if you have the opportunity to go to your LGS and play a game there with your friends, family, or whatever, or you're like me and like you find out that there's 3 people in the ground. We're all 45 minutes away from each other, but we all came together for one Saturday to play at the LGS. And now that LGS knows about Wonders. More people at that LGS knows about Wonders. One guy that's going to SCG Dallas knows that that's a competition that he might be able to play in. That's just a little inch. And it's like we say in churches, right? Everyone invites one friend, then everyone invites another friend, and eventually you're multiplying. You're not adding. So I want to reiterate for us that really care about the game and want to see the game grow. It's not going to be the LGS owner's decision to say, hey, yeah, this sounds great. I think my people will like it. We have to show the people will like it first, and then they'll follow suit.
So Texan, I want to add to that. You're speaking to the passion of players going in, knocking on the door, and continually reminding them. I think it was Zoo Panda who said that. I do agree with what she's also saying. Someone who is very passionate, who's been to a couple LGSs, who's had to put whole emails together, who's had to construct rules, had to give them QR codes, had to show them hype videos from the Shattering and different things. That was all stuff I had to go research, put together on my own to create a little package to start finally getting some of the product into the doors of the LGSs. That came from passion. That came from me going in. That came from some of my friends going in. But if you want to empower the passion in this community, because we have a lot of passionate members of this community that want to go into their LGSs, that maybe have talked to them, but they don't quite understand how to kind of take it up a notch. Is there some, sales pitch that you can give to some of these, people on the ground that love your game? Can you give them something that says, hey, go to your local store, share this with them, give them this contact for the distributor on where to get the information? Like, they didn't even have that at my LGS. They didn't know who to get in contact with. I had to go back and get with the Wonders team. I had to go get the emails. I had to go bring all that out for my LGS. And so I know there's a lot of other community members that want to go in, they want their LGSs to carry it, and they don't know where to start. They don't have quite the information. So when those questions are asked, they're maybe overwhelmed or don't know how to go about it. And so to her point, I think we need both. We need maybe some kind of piece of information that the Wonders team can provide to those people that are so passionate that will go do that work for no cost for them if they kind of just create a way to approach your LGS with some of the key information. And I think that would go a really long way. And I think you'd really start to help expand Wonders inside the LGS with that same passion you talked about and with a little help from the Wonders team with the information.
Well, we do know that we should listen to Sneaky Joe because, as somebody said, Sneaky Joe, how much can you bench, bro? And of course, SM Burns saying at least the weight of a Capricorn. So he's the person we should all list. And actually, to your
Hey,
point,
whales are stronger than you think.
so Sneaky Joe, to your point, is for folks who just tuning in, American Texan is one of the top Wonders of the First creators. And actually, looking at Zupandy's comments and hearing Sneaky Joe talk, I see a series in American Texan Plays future where they will help you do your presentation for the non-salesperson type. American Texan, you are absolutely a confident, well-spoken individual. And to help those individuals who aren't there is like, I would love to see that coming out of your channel. That's something actually, I would love to see that content.
Yeah, I would think that'd be great. In fact, in our business, because we got to sell it to the higher ups, right? We actually have we have videos that are like, hey, give this to your financial officer, your CFO, give this video to them and they'll watch it. Like it's a group effort. Not everyone needs to play the same part, right? Like I love kids ministry in our church. I'm not a kids ministry teacher. Please do not put me in front of your kids. Okay. But I can disinfect toys on Monday. I can keep the play areas clean. I can do, I can do a whole bunch of things. I can take the diapers out. Just please don't ask me to teach the kids. And believe it or not, I'm actually an introvert, right? When I get off of this, I'm going to go cuddle with my knees in the corner or whatever, like this is something I put on. I'm just as nervous to talk to people at my own LGS as well. But I'm not saying that everyone needs to be a salesperson. Not everyone needs to be a marketer. Just understand that I know you may want to be able to give someone a piece of information packet and just say, hey, I gave it to you and then they did this. And now, where's the game? That's all we're missing. That's not all we're missing. Because guess what? There are dozens of TCGs launching every month, and they're doing the same thing. But what we have that they don't is our people, our community, our game, our rules, our art, good or bad, but it is what it is. And we just need to keep showing up. And when they say, no, we don't have it, I say, okay, that's fine. Like we keep showing up. If I invite someone to church and they say no, I don't stop going to church, right? I invite them again a couple weeks later. So, it's just one of those things, like don't get discouraged and don't think it's your job, right? Like I would love to do that video. I think that's a cool idea. We can keyword it right. But I think that's something that, like, we all take responsibility for this. We're all trying to grow this thing, all try to grow it naturally. And I'm not saying everyone needs to be an ambassador. Not everyone needs to be a salesperson, but those that find it easier, hey, let's do it. And let's see what we can do together.
I think that Broughton says it best when he says we need an AI American Texan avatar. I'll take it one step further, a chat bot. So can you imagine an American Texan? Like you just bring him in and the LGS person like talks to American Texan as a chat bot. I will say one thing, and I feel like, again, it's very hard. I get caught in the echo chamber too, because we're part of a small community, is that I do want to point out the comment that was made by Subhub, where he said, if we can get Tom Felton to post on his socials and we can get 0.001% of his followers to try and seek out a Tom Felton auto, we will have 500,000 new buyers and hopefully more players will join. The number's not quite 0.001%. That'll be less than 500,000 because he's got about 15 million. But Subhub's point is valid, which is the amount of people that we can come. And I that's the one thing I just want to take away. These are the early days, and so what's really hard is if you were going to launch a TCG, then Sneaky Joe, I'm going to come to you for final words, and American Texan, you for final words. If you were going to launch your own TCG, it's a lot of money to put into it. Like I can't imagine the total money put into all the artwork, into the game, into everything else. And for them they had to stop it at some point and say, we need to know what works. Are we on the right path? So this first year is under their belt and Call of the Stones is about to come out. And I will just say, like all these things we're talking about with Zoom Pandy and having the American Texan chatbot, I don't want to say it's not going to be necessary because I'm a big fan of Malcolm Gladwell and Tipping Point. I'm a big believer that the right person in the community talking to the right person is going to be the tipping point for Wonders of the First. And I know Jeff, in some ways, he believes in that as well. But I also think that how he's going to approach the LGSs with Call of the Stones, how he's approaching Target. The other thing to keep in mind, and you can't underestimate this, he has Bo Jackson Battle Arena, which is selling out of Dick's Sporting Goods and Targets. At Dick's, they sell them 10 at a time, and they are talking about it in the C-suite at Dick's. They're talking about Bo Jackson Battle product. They want more. They want a lot more. Target is having similar feelings about Bo Jackson Battle Arena. You better believe that Frenchie loves Wonders of the First just as much. And so any conversation he's having about Bo Jackson Battle Arena is Wonders of the First is part of that conversation too. So how he's going to get that next level of success in 2026 for Wonders of the First. The comments we have seen nonstop here is like the people saying at the end of the day, you just need product. Is that I know Target is not the traditional first choice. It's the LGS. But when you see it more successful at Target, it is an easier sell at the LGS. So I would just say this was set one. Wonders team knows what their data shows, and wait till you see what happens with set two with Call of the Stones. I'm not sure anything we do is going to be necessary. Again, big Malcolm Gladwell fan, so I believe in tipping point, and everybody should keep doing what they're doing. But I think it's not, our success won't rely on us. Our individual efforts will just enable it even more, the success that's already there. Sneaky Joe.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. I think kind of to what you said is trust the process, trust Frenchie, and so far there's no reason not to, and so yeah, I again I'll just go back to I think 2026 is going to be a really good year. Call the Stones is coming out. We are going to have those celebrities that are pitching behind our product. To SubHub's comment that he put out there. So hopefully we'll see that. We'll see them that push the game and say, hey, here I am in Wonders of the First. Come buy my product. Check out this cool game. Really hoping that that's part of it. I believe it's part of it. And that alone, we could see a huge explosion of people coming to this game. So hopefully by then we'll have addressed making sure there's enough product for all the expansion and the growth that we're hoping and can actually see happening based on how the Wonders team has set up this game. So even though we kind of started saying, hey, the prize pool isn't the same, does the future look bleak? My opinion is the future still looks bright. So even though we might have seen the prize pool go down, there's still a lot that the team has in order for this next year, a lot to get excited about. And so hey, looking forward to 2026, and I wish everyone a happy new year.
American Texan?
Yeah, thank you guys for watching all this and hearing us talk. You know, I agree with Sneaky. I have nothing but optimistic outlook on this year. And everyone's going to go through growing pains. You know, I've been through a lot. You go through a lot running a family. You go through a lot running business. You go through a lot in your life wherever you are. And this is something that we just, you know, being on the ground level, being at the game so early means, hey, sometimes there's going to be some hiccups that you see and live through. But the game will be stronger for sure at it. So I'm very excited to see what's coming up. You know, we do have our bummers. We do have our setbacks, I guess, if you want to call it that. But I have nothing but high hopes for the upcoming year. So thank you guys for watching. You can find me on YouTube at American Texan Plays, or just search American Texan Plays. Subscribe there. I'm going to literally be posting a video as soon as we're done here. I'm going to hit publish, and it's going to be the first draft. I'll talk about the draft that we did where you have 4 packs. You open a pack, you pick a card, and you pass the pack to the person next to you. Then you pick a card and you pass the pack to the person next to you, and that's how you build your deck, and then you play it in a tournament. So I have footage of that from a game shop that we went to, and the people that played and how that all worked. So that was very exciting. So go check my channel after this, and I'll be publishing it as soon as we're offline here.
Oh, I'm so excited. Honest AF told us about that. It's the first time I had heard about it. So I'm excited to see it. Sneaky Joe, I know you have family there. Thank you so much for taking time during the holiday to spend with us and share your thoughts. American Texan, thanks for being here every week. Thank you both. And thank you, the audience, for all the great comments and questions. We'll see you next week, live every Tuesday at 10 p.m. Eastern.
From the clash of wonder, stories burst. Voices rise, creators of the first. Capricorn charts the stars with might, guiding seekers through the night. Be a hero, Ben breaks it down. Gaming wisdom all around. Every card, each pack reversed. He's a guide, creator of the first. Creators of the first. Wonders, wisdom, quenched our thirst. Together we shine, community blessed. With the creators of the first. With the creators of the first. Wonders Workshop, Carolina girl brings light. Sharing secrets, shining light. Sharing secrets, shining bright. Knowledge deep, her voice rehearsed. A championed creator of the first. American Texan plays it true. Passion for the game shines through. From the heart his insights burst. A leader, creator of the first. Creators of the first. Wonders of wisdom quenched our thirst. Together we shine, community blessed. With the creators of the first. With the creators of the first. Unfold and the stories call. These voices rise to guide us all. Wonders keepers, friendships nursed. We stand with creators of the first. Creators of the first. Legends living, wonders burst. Side by side with the creator.